This is Kite Cutter TV with another presentation. We gotta talk about this. Okay, guys, thousands of Trump supporters gathered at Freedom Plaza in Washington, D.C. today for what was termed the MAGA March. The president himself made a drive-by appearance, waving from his motorcade. While Joe Biden has been declared the president-elect, President Trump and his supporters are still holding out hope that he wins the election. Also, all across the nation, we had Stop the Steal rallies, which Trump supporters expressed their distrust of this election primarily due to mail-in ballots, and accusations of fraud have been voiced by some conservatives. Most of the events today were peaceful, but arrests were made for minor assaults, gun possession, and the like. A broad coalition of top government and industry officials has declared that the November 3 voting and the following count unfolded smoothly with no more than the usual minor hiccups. A Biden supporter claims this was the most secure in American history, repudiating Trump's efforts to undermine the integrity of the contest. Well, Republicans and conservatives beg to differ. Check this out.
Well, Charlotte, this would have been the perfect place to reveal any of that evidence with the world watching and the president himself making an appearance. But instead, as the rally alleged fraud, the facts stood firm.
Let's pay close attention here. Let's see who gets out of these vehicles.
Smiling and two thumbs up, but the president continuing onward to his golf course in Virginia rather than staying with supporters. By noon, the event dubbed the MAGA March filled about one city block between 13th and 14th Streets. Among the organizers, Women for Trump.
And as mothers, we will fight for the torch of freedom.
It was a clarion call for a second Trump administration, one that could be heard from high above. So by 1 p.m. here, we've easily seen half of the crowd leave Freedom Plaza and march towards Capitol Hill, eventually meeting up at the U.S. Supreme Court. Authorities have said they are not going to give any kind of crowd estimate, and they've also said at this point, no arrests. While the rally ended at the court, legal challenges that could potentially affect the race have come nowhere close. Only hours earlier, a judge rejected all 5 Trump lawsuits claiming voter fraud in Philadelphia. The Homeland Security Agency in charge of voting integrity said this was the most secure election in U.S. history. But Mr. Trump supporters march on as the nation comes closer to a new president. And Charlotte, at this hour, we got word from Metropolitan Police that officers have arrested 10 people so far throughout the day on a variety of firearms and relatively minor assault charges. But Charlotte, law enforcement will be keeping an eye on Black Lives Matter Plaza tonight, with both ends of the political spectrum planning to meet there and stay there throughout the evening. Charlotte?
So today was a story of 2 entirely different events. The one earlier this morning, we're going to talk about here in a minute. That was different. What we're seeing now in the evening here as the sun has gone down, as you see here, police starting to move us back all along Black Lives Matter Plaza right outside of the White House and then down the street further. It has gotten ugly, frankly. We have seen clashes between both anti and pro-Trump supporters. And basically when the sun went down, these two sides started coming together, pushing and shoving. We heard explosions throughout the night. It progressively started to get worse. I have to say, earlier in the day, it was a different story. We had people from all over the country celebrating the president, and it was relatively peaceful, doing a march, essentially, from near the White House down onto the Supreme Court and then back to Freedom Plaza. Now, that march earlier today, it was a large group of people that was united by the idea that the election was not legitimate, that it was rigged. That's what brought a number of people out here today. Now, we should mention that, in fact, state elections officials and also the Department of Homeland Security have confirmed and have said there is no reason to believe that there's any sort of widespread voter fraud, that every election state by state was done fairly and properly. Nonetheless, that distrust is what united people and brought them out earlier today. I want to let you listen to a couple of people who we talked to and why they felt compelled to be here in Washington.
This is a scam by the governors, state legislators that are getting their pockets lined from these voting systems.
So you don't trust the elections official?
Absolutely not.
Not
And the reason why I don't trust it is simple. You need a license to drive a car, go fishing, hunting, everything. Marriage license. Why can't we have voter ID? I think if Donald Trump said he trusts the election, he would just be conceding, and he's not about
That's
that.
right.
Do you trust the court system?
No, not the local court system.
Why not?
Because they've been voted in by the Democrats, and I don't think the elections have been fair for a very long time. I think there's probably a lot more that needs to be investigated there, and they deserve to have their votes count.
The way I believe, I don't know how most people will, but we'll see when it ends, when there's actual legal resolution. That's what it's going to be. I don't know if it was stolen. I don't think most people know. So whatever, the truth will be reveal itself in the end.
Now, again, those clashes that you just started to see video of here, that didn't begin until later on in the night. You want to be very clear about that. It seems that a lot of people have been gathered here outside of the Capitol Hilton. We did see a little bit of pushing and shoving that was happening here. Police quickly closed in on it. And again, police in heavy numbers have been trying to shore up their boundaries and try to separate these groups. You can't be everywhere. And so we're hoping for everyone's sake that they can keep this situation at least a little bit more calm than it has been, and that we can sort of bring the tension down. Hopefully nobody gets hurt. But guys, that is what we are seeing both at the earlier in the day and then now as the situation has gotten progressively worse. Reporting in Washington, D.C. tonight, Joe Khalil, News Nation.
Everybody block!
Supporters of President Trump gathered at the Iowa State Capitol Saturday, expressing their concern over the results of the presidential election.
They hate him because he's trying to drain the swamp, and they are the swamp.
Peggy Hutchinson of New Virginia says the president has been treated unfairly throughout the election cycle.
Every day he gets up, and he's a wonderful person, but every day he gets up, there's something new that they're accusing him of.
Others, like Hutchinson, say they won't accept the results until officials take a second look at the ballots that were cast.
We hope that America starts to demand an audit of all the election.
Protesters marched in circles around the Capitol building, shouting chants like "Stop the Steal," claiming President-elect Joe Biden's campaign stole the election, a widely disputed claim. Some even said counting votes after Election Day was unconstitutional.
And they kept counting after November 3rd, which I think is unconstitutional, if I'm correct.
But as Republicans marched in frustration all over the country, even the president's strongest supporters said they would respect Biden once they acknowledge he won the election.
We as conservatives, if Joe Biden does somehow pull this out, we will respect him as we did Barack Hussein Obama.
Well, it has been a week since Joe Biden was declared the winner of the presidential election, but pro-Trump supporters are still saying it's not over. They took to the streets in a number of American cities including outside the Capitol in Salem, to voice their opinions. Welcome to Coin 6 News. I'm Wayne Haverly. Now, here in Oregon, Trump supporters also gathered for a protest at the steps of the state capitol in Salem. Coin 6's Jennifer Dowling. She joins us now live with some of the details on what happened during that rally. Jennifer?
Good evening, Wayne. There were around 100 to 200 people there in Salem while our cameras were rolling, and take a listen to the crowd there. And photojournalist Robert Sherman spoke with participants at that rally today. Many said they don't believe the election results naming Joe Biden as president-elect. Their comments echoed that of those gathered in D.C. today.
Once they went to mail-in ballots for everybody, I think it pretty much made it that we don't have a voice anymore. Those of us who are Republicans, our voice is squashed.
Yeah, I think the evidence will be presented to the courts, everything from both sides. And and I know that judges are there for a reason. They've been appointed legally, so I think they know what's best.
I want to say that we love President Trump, and this is Trump's America. This is Trump's America. Awesome.
I'm out here today to exercise my First Amendment right of free speech. I'm out here to go through and protest that we got fraud in this country. Yeah. But we got to educate ourselves. We got not be afraid. We walk by faith as the foundation of this country was founded.
And many at today's rally told us they wanted the legal fight to continue. Trump supporters also expressing concerns about what they say is socialism and communism in America. There were several people dressed in Proud Boys shirts and waving Proud Boys flags at the protest. At one point, people were taking pictures next to an elk statue that appears to be the same one created during the Black Lives Matter rallies. It disappeared from Portland several weeks ago. The rally wrapped up earlier this afternoon, and it seems like everyone has cleared out of Salem at this hour. Back to you.
USA! USA! USA!
Maybe 4 days ago or so, and said, Dad, there's something happening in D.C. and we need to go out and support our president.
I came out to support President Trump because I align with his policies, and I believe that he has done amazing things for this entire nation.
Thanks for watching. Like, share, and subscribe. Till next time, God bless. Peace.